Hey, what's up? Ron here. Welcome to TimeWalkTV. I hope you're all having a great day today. We're doing something a little new. Well, not new, but something a little different than our normal videos. Usually we do gameplay videos on Magic Arena, but since the format is in kind of a bit of a limbo right now because the banned and restricted announcement doesn't go live until Thursday, the formats are just being a little wonky right now, so we'll wait till Friday to actually play in the new standard. Got a really cool deck lined up. Should be good against the Oko decks, but we'll have to wait and see because Oko and Nissa are kind of best friends and they're really, really good together. So fingers crossed we can beat them, but I think we got something for them. So today we're actually going to be taking a look at a Pioneer deck that I have created or modified from the original version when it was in Standard way long ago in Return to Ravnica. Pioneer is the brand new Magic format that they just announced on Monday. It's getting GPs, it's getting PTQs, Pro Tours, the whole 9 yards. It's going to be on Magic Online, everything, but it's not going to be on Magic Arena. So kind of a buzzkill with that one. I guess we're not doing anything with Historic, so I guess we'll just throw that on the back burner. Hopefully, maybe in a year, 2 years, I don't know, whenever they decide to, maybe, fingers crossed, they can bring Pioneer to Arena, but I'm not going to hold my breath on that one because they specifically stated that they're not going to do that. So I think it's going to be a really great format, but it's just really frustrating coming from them hyping up Historic and then not mentioning it at all, and they're just going with Pioneer here. So I guess that's what we have to work with. Nothing we can do about it. Just have to kind of move on and start building decks for Pioneer and having fun with that. It seems like it's like modern light-ish with much cheaper mana bases, much cheaper decks in general. This deck I built is probably under $200, so about the same as a standard deck, and it's got a pretty big power level. I mean, you're taking sets from all the way back from Return to Ravnica when I started playing Magic. So it's a deck that I really enjoyed playing when it was in Standard, and I don't know if you'll enjoy it because it's really, really control-y, but we'll go and take a look right now. Alright, welcome in. Let's go over this deck that I've built. Now, this is based off of Even Flock's deck that he won at one of the Pro Tours. This is back in RTR Standard when Blue-White Control was one of the best control decks out there. So in that standard, there was a mono red burn deck that was really good. There was a lot of devotion decks, I think, and there was just like a lot of good control decks, like real pure control decks. So the aggro decks beat control, mid-range beat aggro, and control beat the mid-range. So it was a nice cycle. So you really had to play your best, and a lot of these decks really combat the other ones pretty well. So it was a really healthy and great format. It's probably one of the best standards that I can remember. That's when I started playing, and I really fell in love with control from there. But going off of that list, I made some changes with some of the cards that came out afterwards to make the deck more cohesive, a little bit better, but it still keeps the pure control sense that I really like and that I can't play right now in Standard because the creatures are just too powerful. There's too many planeswalkers. So hopefully this will be able to handle that a little bit better, and we have a really great card, my favorite card, Sphinx Revelation, to kind of put this deck over the top. That's something that I think control really lacks, is that they have card draw somewhat, but they don't have the life gain to really stabilize, and Sphinx Revelation does both of that together. So just going through the cards one by one here, we have Fave Wishes. This is a new card from Throne of Eldraine. I'm adding one in here because we don't want as many win cons in the main deck because we want to have all reactive cards or card draw cards, things that keep us alive, remove stuff from the battlefield. This is nice because we can use it for the tutor ability and then play it, bounce it to our hand, and play it again. So we kind of have a little recurring theme there. We'd be able to get some stuff out of our graveyard. So we'll look at that here in a second. So next, you'll notice that we have 0 Teferis in this list. Now, as impactful as the 3 mana and 5 mana ones are, I think Jace is just a little bit better in this slot, mainly because a lot of people are starting to pick up the Saheeli Felidar combo, making a lot of 1/4s and attacking. So Jace was in the original list. This is a card from Return to Ravnica, and his +1 says all attacking creatures get -1/-0. So that completely invalidates that combo. And the -2 is a mini factor fiction, so you reveal the top 3. Your opponent puts them into 2 piles, and you get to choose a pile. The rest go on the bottom of the library. So it gets you some cards, and it stops a lot of the attackers. So the -1/-0 doesn't seem like it'd be all that great, but it's actually super relevant, and it actually will save your life more than once. Moving into the spells, 3 opt. Now these used to be divinations, which divination might still be okay, but drawing 2 cards is definitely better than drawing 1. But for the cost reduction, I think this is a lot better actually. So 3 ops, really good card. We have 4 quicken. This is so we can play our sweepers at instant speed. And again, we don't have the Teferi to do that, so quicken just does it a little bit better. Now you can only cast 1 spell after it, so it says the next sorcery spell you cast will have, you know, flash, or it will be instant speed. So if you cast quicken, you can only cast 1 sorcery after that. Unlike Teferi, which when you plus it, you can play as many sorceries as you want as long as you have mana to cast it. So these are really cool. Azorius Charm, a really great blue-white card that really miss actually. Creatures you control gain lifelink. You draw a card, or you can put an attacking or blocking creature back on top of its owner's library. So it's white and blue to choose one. So the target attacking creatures are actually really good against the aggressive decks. They play their creature out. The next turn they try to swing. You put it back on top. If they're missing land drops, they're going to be drawing a creature instead of a land to play maybe their other spells. So there's something there. If we get a lot of creatures on board, maybe we Fey Wishes for an Elsbeth, or we make a lot of tokens with the Castle Erdenville, we can give them lifelink and kind of get caught up there. So that's pretty sweet. Declaration of Stone is as close as we're going to get to Path of Exile. Even if it gives them investigation tokens or whatever, it's not really that big of a deal. We just want to be able to exile something really big, something that we can't really get rid of very easily. Now there's 2 more on the board, so we have the complete set because we definitely will need it. We have Dovin's Veto, one of the newer cards here. It's a counterspell that can't be countered. It's just better negate basically, and the lands that we have are gonna, you know, allow us to cast these cards, so it's not really that big of a deal. This is kind of in the place of possibly like a Syncopate or something. I'm not sure if Syncopate is better, but Dovin's Veto does seem really good, so I'm going to try it out. Now this slot was Dissolve, which was the 1 blue counter target spell scry one. I'm moving over to Disallow because it has more modes basically. We still get the counter target spell, but we get to have an activated ability countered or triggered ability for the same cost. So we can either counter a spell, or if someone goes Ultimate of Planeswalker, we can counter that ability because it's a activated ability. Or if something enters the battlefield and triggers some crazy ability, we can counter that as well. So it's a little more versatile, something we really need, especially at the beginning of a format, especially when this big, because we really don't know what's good, what's bad, and there's no ban list besides the fetch lands. So until they kind of hammer out that ban list of what's overpowered and what's not, we need to be able to attack anything and everything possible. Now to my favorite card, the best card in the deck probably, Sphinx's Revelation. X white blue, you gain X life and draw X cards at instant speed. So basically this is a kind of a snowball effect in a way. That's why we run 4 of them. So we're gonna, Sphinx's Revelation on turn 5 or 6 for like 2 or 3 cards, gain 2 or 3 life. And then the next time we do it on 7 for 4 cards and 4 life. And then we, draw 4 cards, and maybe we find another one that we can do the next turn for 5 cards and 5 life. That starts to add up, and it just gets out of hand really quickly. And in previous standards, we'd get to the point where we would Sphinx Revelation once, and then by the second or third Sphinx Revelation, our opponent would scoop it up because the inevitability of us winning went through the roof, and we just had so many cards in our hand. We gained all of our life back that we lost in the early turns, so it just made it almost impossible for opponents to win. Next, we have Supreme Verdict. This is the best 4-mana sweeper I think they've ever printed. 1 white blue, can't be countered, and it destroys all creatures. So on turn 2 or 3 when we play Declaration Stone or Azorius Charm, on turn 4 we can wipe the board, get it set up for maybe our Jace, or maybe turn 5 Sphinx Revelation for 2, and start to move those chains up and get to our late game, which just obviously helps us do very well. Alongside that, we're going to run 3 planar cleansings. Now this was like that new tech back in the day where we would have 4 quickens, we could play planar cleansing or Supreme Verdict at instant speed, and that's why we're not playing any more than 2 Jace Architect of Thought, or we're not playing any detention spheres. We don't want any permanents, non-land permanents on the battlefield so that they don't get wiped away from planar cleansing. And this lets us deal with all these new planeswalkers that are being played right now. All the tokens get swept up, all the artifacts, enchantments, everything gets taken out, so we can clear the board, get set up for our long game, and then hopefully win the game after like a million turns. But land go control, that's kind of what it's known for. Next we have Elixir of Immortality. This was kind of the cornerstone of this deck, which made it really impossible to beat sometimes. So for 1 mana, you had an artifact that said pay 2 and tap it. You gain 5 life, shuffle Elixir of Immortality and your graveyard into its owner's library. So basically we would play this long control-y game where we're drawing our whole deck with Sphinx's Revelation. We'd play Elixir of Immortality, shuffle our whole graveyard back into our library, gain 5 life, and then we'd keep doing it over and over, and eventually we'd get to the point where, you know, we don't have any lands in our deck, so we would just be drawing spells. And this is where Fey of Wishes comes in. So now we don't have to rely on Jace's Architect of Thought to steal a win condition out of our opponent's deck. We can just Fey of Wishes for one of our sideboard cards, which we'll go over here in a second, to win the game from there. Next we have Search for Azcanta, one of these new cards from the Ixalan side that is a flip card into a land. So at the beginning of your upkeep, you look at the top card, you either put it on top or you put it in the graveyard, and then you draw for a turn. Then once you have 7 or more cards in your graveyard, you flips over into Azcanta the Sunken Ruin, taps for a blue, or 2 and a blue, tap, look at the top 4, put a non-creature card into your hand. So that's really cool. It's going to find us all our spells. It's going to give us more mana so we can Sphinx Revelation a lot bigger, and we get to kind of filter out our draws early so we can find the cards we really need to stabilize the game and go really long. Looking at the mana base here, we have 2 Castle Ardenvale. Now, some might be wondering why I'm not playing the blue castle, the one that scries 2. This one makes tokens so that I can block or even make a small little army and attack. So this is kind of like a win condition. The original list had Mutavaults, which ended up winning the game for you usually. This one's a little bit slower, but it's also, you know, you can make tokens every single turn over and over. And when you have 2 and you have a bunch of lands in play, you're making 2 tokens a turn, and that kind of adds up really, really quickly. We have 4, 8, 12, 18 islands in this deck. We have 4 Hallowed Fountains, 4 Prairie Streams, 4 Mystic Sanctuaries, and 6 islands. And we have 5 plains as well. The Mystic Sanctuary is the reason why I'm burning so many islands. I think this card is completely busted. Now, we don't have fetch lands in this set because we could have fetched for this because it's an island. But instead, we're just going to jam 4 in here. And if we put, you know, a Sphinx Revelation back on top, that's great. A Disallow, that's even better. I don't know. We have all these spells. We have 29 spells that we can put back on top anyone we want, as long as they're in our graveyard first. So I think this is just going to be a really great card. Now, we don't want to see it too early, but even if we do, it still counts as an island toward itself, and the next ones are going to go in there. We've added Prairie Stream instead of like Glacial Fortress because this counts as an island, and we have 11 basic lands, so this usually should come into play untapped for us. Moving to the sideboard, I've built this with Fey of Wishes in mind, but not completely. We have the extra elixir just in case something happens to the first one. We can go fetch out another one if we need it. We have the 2 other Declaration Stones that we can bring in from the sideboard to go up to 4 in case we really need that. The other 2 Dovin's Veto, so that we have a set of those. Ashiok Dreamrender, this is a nice card that we can either fetch up with Fey Wishes or board in against any graveyard shenanigans, because it's only going to take a matter of time before someone breaks the format in half with a graveyard-based deck. So definitely like these. We never cast for black. Obviously, we just cast 1 blue, and we can exile our opponent's graveyard, which is great. I'm putting in 4 Leyline of Sanctity. So when we bring these in, we can use the London Mulligan rule to hopefully get one in our opening hand to put it into play. It's also a nice card to fetch up with Fey of Wishes, and I just expect that there's going to be a lot of burn, maybe a lot of mono red early on, just until people figure out what the best build of it is. So putting a Leyline in play, we can usually take care of the creatures pretty well. So once we do that, Leyline just protects us from the burn spells pretty easily. We have 1 Elspeth Sun's Champion. Now, if you've never played with this card, well, it's a treat because it makes 3 1/1s every plus. So you plus to 5, 6, and 7. So there's 3, 6, 9 tokens if no one ever kills them. And then you minus to get an emblem that says your creatures get +2/+2 in flying. So there's 9 creatures that are 3/3 flyers. So it's pretty wild. And that counts every creature. So even your Fey of Wishes or whatever else you bring in possibly could have +2/+2 and flying. So Elspeth ends the game really, really quickly, Really miss playing this card. It was super fun back when I played a Magic a ton, especially in paper. Next, we have our 4th Planar Cleansing, just in case we need to get one out of the board with Fave Wishes. Just kind of a catch-all for basically everything in the format there. And we have 1 Approach of the Second Sun. This card is super cool, super unique, really unique to Bolas specifically, especially when they're on Amonkhet. Basically, if you cast this and it resolves, it goes 7 cards deep in the top of your library. You gain 7 life, and when you cast this spell again and it resolves again, then you win the game. So basically, this is in the deck because we can get it with Fey Wishes, we can cast it, draw some cards with our plethora of spells here, play it again, win the game. This and like Elspeth are our main win conditions, and basically that's the deck. I mean, just control the whole game and then get to the end game where you can just keep drawing basically your whole deck out and then casting big powerful spells from your sideboard. Hey, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the deck tech. If you have your own Pioneer decks, go and tweet me at TimeWalkTV. Go and leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you like the format, what you're going to play in this new format. Go ahead and like the video if you like the deck or like the format. I know a lot of people don't like the control decks too much, but if I have some sweet control players out there, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 3 days a week. So if you want to see more Magic related content, go in and do that. Again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and remember, Magic is great and so are you. Stay positive and play Island.